Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. So dear students, as you know that we are practicing sample paper 1. As of now we have discussed till question number 8 and part A of question number 9 was given in homework yesterday. The question was the following graph shows the number of visitors in millions who visited the famous Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010, as well as the number of visitors expected to visit it in the next 10 years. So let me write an analytical paragraph interpreting the data. Okay, so let me write down the question on the board. Question number 9, which we are going to practice. Attempt anyone. Question number 9 to attempt anyone of the following in 100 to 120 words. Of the following in 100 to 120 words. Okay. Part A. The following graph shows the following graph shows the following graph shows the number of visitors in million, the number of visitors, sorry, the number of visitors in million, the number of visitors in million who visited the famous Salar Jung in millions, who visited the famous Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad. Museum in Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010. Between 2000 and 2010. Between 2000 and 2010. As well, the number of visitors expected, as well, the number of it is as well as, sorry, as well as the number of visitors expected to visit it in the next 10 years. In the next 10 years. Okay, so let me draw the diagram here. It is something this way. Let me rub it, then draw the diagram. The question is, the following graph shows the number of visitors in millions who visited the famous Salarjung Museum in Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010, as well as the number of visitors expected to visit it in the next 10 years. Okay? So you have to write an analytical paragraph. Let me draw the graph here. And let me 1 second. Yes. Let me draw this line here. 0. Okay. Now uh, starting from here, okay, that 8.5 and here 12.5 million, and this is 15 and this is 23 million. Okay, next. Here 5.75 5.75 million, 6.75 million, 8 million, and 10.5 million and 12 million. Then the next line 2.75 here this way, 2.75 million, 3.25 3.25 million, 4 million, and 5 million, and 7 million. The next, 2 million, 2.5 million, 3 million, 3.5 and 4. 3.5 and 4. This is the data, dear students, which you are supposed to go through and then write the analytical paragraph. Okay. Here this line, the first line here, it shows it is for students. It is for students. Sorry. This line shows number of students visited, and the second line shows overseas visitors. This line shows overseas overseas visitors, and third line shows domestic visitors. This stands for domestic visitors, and the last one stands for total visitors. Total visitors. Okay. Okay, so let us begin. Let me also write the year. Year 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, and 2020. Okay, so this is the graph. After going through this graph, we have to write an analytical paragraph. Okay, either you can take the screenshot or you can pause the video and draw this graph. Now I am going to rub this graph. Okay, dear students, so let me rub it. Now let's start writing the analytical paragraph. So look at the question and look at the graph and write down an analytical paragraph. The line graph given above, the line graph given above, the line graph given above, or you need not write above. Okay, just write the line graph given. Okay, clearly depicts the line graph given above clearly depicts the number of people who visited, the number of people who visited, the number of people who visited at Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010, at number of people visited Salarjung Museum. Visited Salarjung Museum. Salarjung Museum. Salarjung Museum. Sorry. Salarjung Museum at Hyderabad between 2000 at Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010. 2010. After that, change the paragraph and write in 2000 the number of students in 2000 the number of students in 2000 the number of students visiting the museum was visiting the museum was 2.7 million as compared to 2.75 million as compared to domestic visitors, which was domestic visitors, which was a little less than a million, which was a little less than a million in comparison to overseas visitors. In comparison to overseas visitors. In comparison to overseas visitors, as their number touched 8 million in 2010. As their number touched 8 million in 2010. 8 million in 2010. Which earlier, that is in 2010, was 3.75 million. Which earlier, that is 2000, which is 2000, which earlier, that is in 2000. It should be that is here. Which earlier, that is in 2000, was 3.75 million. Was 3.75 million. Okay, let's change the paragraph. So the line graph given clearly depicts the number of people who visited Salazam Museum at Hyderabad between 2000 and 2010. In 2000, the number of students visiting the museum was 2.75 million as compared to domestic visitors, which was a little less than a million in comparison to overseas visitors, as their number touched 8 million in 2010, which earlier, that is in 2000, was 3.75 million. Okay. The line graph shows a steady rise. Next paragraph. The line graph. The line graph shows. The line graph shows a steady rise in the number of overseas visitors. A steady rise, a steady rise. The line graph shows a steady rise in the number of overseas visitors, in the number of overseas visitors, in the number of overseas visitors. But as far as domestic visitors are concerned, but as far as domestic visitors are concerned, as far as domestic visitors are concerned, the number increased by only 1 million in 2010. The number increased by only 1 million. The number increased by only 1 million in 2010. In 2010. It might rise to 4 million in 2021. It might rise to 4 million. It might rise to 4 million in 2021. Whereas almost 12 million visitors are expected. Whereas almost 12 million visitors are expected. 12 million visitors are expected. 12 million visitors are expected by the end of 2020. expected by the end of 2020. The total number of visitors kept increasing from the total number of visitors kept increasing. The total number of visitors kept increasing from 8.5 million in 2000, from 8.5 million 8.5 million in 2000, 8.5 million in 2000 to 12.5 million in 2005 to 12.5 million in 2005 and 19 million in 2015 and 19 million and 19 million in 2015 and 19 million in 2015. The number of total visitors is expected to touch. Let's change the paragraph. The number of total visitors is expected to touch. Visitors is expected to touch the scale of 23 million by 2020. The scale of 23 million by 2020. By 2020, as many as 7 million. Let me rub it as it cannot be seen. So as many as 7 million students, after full stop, as many as 7 million students, as many as 7 million students are expected to visit it by, are expected to visit it by 2020 as compared by 2020 as compared to their number of 5 million, as compared to their number of 5 million, number of 5 million in the year 2015. In the year 2015. Okay, so it's all about this analytical paragraph, dear students, in which you already know a graph, a line graph, bar graph, a chart is given. After going through the graph, you have to interpret the data and write analytical paragraph. Okay, so it's all about it. We have already discussed writing analytical paragraph. A separate video is there. Okay, if any doubt, you can watch that video or you can let me know in online classes. So thank you students for watching this video. See you tomorrow.